every small town, there's usually that one kid. The one who's always outside, rain or shine, kicking a ball, shooting hoops, or just running for the sheer joy of it. In my town, that kid was me, Alex. My story isn't about becoming a world-famous athlete or winning a gold medal. It's about how sports became my greatest adventure, my teacher, and my best friend, right here in the quiet streets of Northwood. It all started with a beat-up soccer ball I found in my grandpa's garage. It was old, the leather was worn, and it barely held air. For weeks, I couldn't get more than 2 taps. I'd kick, miss, chase the ball, and try again. My shins were a roadmap of bruises, and my frustration was epic. My dad would watch from the kitchen window, smiling. One evening, he came out. He didn't coach me or give me complex instructions. He just said, "Alex, don't try to conquer the ball. Try to make friends with it." That simple piece of advice changed everything. I stopped seeing the ball as an opponent and started treating it as a partner. I'd talk to it. Weird as that sounds. Okay, all patchy. Let's try for 3 today. And slowly, miraculously, it started working. 2 taps became 3, 3 became 5, and one glorious sunset-lit evening, I hit 10. I yelled so loud the neighbor's dog started barking. It wasn't about being good, it was about the breakthrough. It was the first time I understood that practice wasn't punishment. It was a conversation between my body and a goal. As I got older, my world of sports expanded. Our town had this legendary, slightly run-down basketball court behind the old community center. We called it the cage because of the tall chain-link fence around it. The cage was where the older kids played. They were giants to me, with their confident dribbles and effortless layups. For a year, I just watched from outside the fence, too intimidated to ask to join. I'd go home and practice on the rusty hoop my dad put up over our garage, or copied. Their moves, their crossovers, their fadeaway shots. My driveway became my training ground. The day I finally got the courage to step into the cage is burned into my memory. A game was short, 1 player, and one of the older guys, a high schooler named Marcus, looked over at me. "Hey little man, you play." My heart hammered against my ribs. I just nodded, unable to speak. He tossed me the ball. "All right, you're with us." I was terrified. My first few touches were a disaster. I traveled. I airballed a shot. I felt the familiar sting of failure. I thought they'd kick me out. But then, something amazing happened. Marcus, the guy who had seemed so intimidating, pulled me aside during a timeout. "Relax, kid. Just play your game. We see you practicing out here every day. You belong." His words were like a switch flipping inside me. The fear didn't vanish, but it was joined by a surge of determination. On the next play, the ball came to me. Instead of panicking, I saw an open lane. I drove to the basket, my heart pounding, and laid the ball in. It went in. It was just 2 points, but to me, it felt like a game winner. I didn't become the star of the game, not even close. But I wasn't scared anymore. I was part of the game. That day, basketball taught me that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about playing anyway. Then came high school, and with it, the cross-country team. I'd always been a decent runner, but running in circles around a track never appealed to me. Cross-country was different. It was about trails, hills, and forests. Our coach, Mr. Henderson, was a quiet man who believed that running was more of a mental sport than a physical one. Our first big race was the infamous Grizzly Hill Invitational. The course was legendary for a massive mile-long hill right in the middle of the race. Everyone dreaded it. I remember standing at the starting line, the air crisp with autumn chill, looking at the hundreds of other runners. The starting gun fired, and we were a stampede of feet and lungs. I felt good for the first mile, keeping a steady pace. Then, I saw it. Grizzly Hill. It looked less like a hill and more like a wall. My legs started to burn halfway up. My lungs felt like they were on fire. Runners were slowing down all around me, some even walking. Every instinct screamed at me to stop. Just then, I remembered what Coach Henderson always told us in practice. Do you look at the top of the hill. Look at the ground 3 feet in front of you. Just win that little piece of ground. Then win the next one. So I did. I stopped thinking about the peak. My entire world shrank to that small patch of dirt just ahead of my feet. Step, breathe. I focused only on the next step. I passed a runner, then another. I wasn't flying up the hill, but I was moving forward, relentlessly. When I finally reached the top, my legs were jelly, but my spirit was soaring. The rest of the race was a blur of adrenaline. I didn't win, not even close. I think I finished somewhere in the middle of the pack, but conquering Grizzly Hill felt like a personal victory. Running taught me to break down overwhelming challenges into manageable steps. Just focus on the next 3 feet. My greatest adventure in sports, though, didn't happen on a court or a trail. It happened on water. My town is built along a wide, winding river. During my senior year, a friend of mine, Sam, got 2 old kayaks. We decided we would paddle the entire 20-mile stretch of the river that bordered our town, from the old dam to the county line. We planned for weeks, studying maps and packing supplies. We thought we were prepared for anything. We weren't. The first few hours were bliss. The water was calm, the sun was warm, and we were making great time. We joked, we raced, we felt like true explorers. But around noon, the sky darkened in a way that felt unnatural. A storm rolled in fast, much faster than the forecast had predicted. The wind picked up, and the calm river turned into a choppy mess of waves. Rain started lashing down, and we were in the widest part of the river, far from either shore. Panic set in. Our kayaks, which had felt so stable, were now being tossed around like toys. A particularly strong gust of wind caught Sam's kayak and flipped it. He went under. My blood ran cold. He surfaced, sputtering and gasping, but his kayak was upside down and quickly drifting away. All our training, all our sports experience, suddenly felt useless against the raw power of nature. But then, something kicked in. It was a strange calm. It was the focus from the basketball court, the endurance from the cross-country trail. I paddled hard against the waves, my muscles screaming in protest. I reached Sam, who was struggling to stay afloat. Grab the back of my boat, I yelled over the wind. He did, and I started paddling for both of us, aiming for the shore. It was the hardest physical thing I've ever done. Every paddle stroke was a battle. My arms felt like they were going to fall off, but I just kept thinking, next stroke. Just one more stroke. It was Grizzly Hill all over again, but this time, my friend's safety was on the line. After what felt like an eternity, we reached the muddy bank, collapsing in the pouring rain, exhausted and shivering but safe. We lost one kayak and most of our gear, but we were okay. Huddled under a thick pine tree, waiting for the storm to pass, I realized the most important lessons sports had ever taught me. It wasn't about winning or losing, it was about resilience. It was about looking out for your teammates. It was about knowing how to push through your limits when it truly matters. Sports had prepared me for a moment that had nothing to do with a game, so here I am. Not a pro athlete, just Alex from Northwood. But my life is richer because of a worn-out soccer ball, a rusty basketball hoop, a brutal hill, and a terrifying river. Sports didn't just teach me how to play, they taught me how to live. They taught me patience, courage, perseverance, and teamwork. They gave me adventures I'll never forget and lessons I'll carry with me forever. So if you're just starting out, feeling clumsy or intimidated, remember my story. Don't worry about being the best, just find your ball, or your court, or your trail, and start your own adventure. You never know where it might take you. Thanks for listening to my story today. If you enjoyed it, or if sports have taught you a valuable lesson in your own life, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.